before a single medical chart appeared, and before a single statistical dispute was explained, the Netflix documentary had told you what to think, not through evidence, but through a single word, kill. And that word dominates the thumbnail, and the words that don't are disputed, uncertain, alleged, and these are also words written by Lucy Letby. The word kill is not neutral here, it's a kind of psychological priming, because within milliseconds, our brain encodes a narrative of violence, intent, and guilt. And once that narrative forms, every piece of information that follows is filtered through it. This video is not about whether Lucy Letby is guilty or innocent, it's about something far more fundamental, how visual framing shapes public perception and belief before any critical analysis even begins. Because when persuasion starts before proof, investigation becomes performance. So let's start where the audience starts, with the thumbnail itself. As I said in my introduction, the word most prominent is the word kill, and this is a deliberate placement because words like kill, murder, dead, danger all trigger a high arousal. They create a sense of urgency, of threat, of emotion, but they narrow our interpretation. Because in a split second, Lucy Letby is not framed as a subject of inquiry, but as a perpetrator of violence. And it could have been framed differently. The producers could have said disputed, uncertain, alleged, I haven't done anything wrong. But they chose not to. Instead, they used the most incriminating word available. When uncertainty exists in a complex medical case, as it does in this, responsible framing avoids definitive cues of guilt. Further, the handwritten notes across Lucy Letby's face created the illusion of complexity, but the only one word that was legible was kill. It feels investigative, but the emotional conclusion is the same, and it's already been supplied before you even click on the video to watch. Thumbnails are not neutral containers, they are persuasive tools, and once persuasion precedes evidence, the tone is set. Which brings me to the next technique, one that appears protective but subtly reshapes our perception. One of the documentary's most debated choices was its use of AI-generated faces to anonymise baby Zoe's mother and Lucy Letby's friend. To understand why this matters, we need to compare it with traditional methods. Historically, anonymisation includes blurring, pixelization, silhouetting, cropping, and voice alteration. These methods are transparent because they clearly signal that the identity of the person is being protected. They remove all identifying features, but they do not reconstruct the person. But AI anonymisation is different. The faces might blink, they might move, they might emote, but they do it imperfectly. And this creates what psychologists call the uncanny valley, the discomfort we feel when something appears almost human, but not quite. This clearly comes down to a credibility issue because the images are so ambiguous in their meaning. The synthetic faces can smile at the wrong moment, misalign with vocal tone, appear emotionally flat, and convey an unintended coldness. These distortions subtly but intentionally shape our perception. While traditional methods protect identity, AI methods reconstruct identity, and that is a fundamental difference. And when synthetic imagery is embedded within factual reporting, the boundary between documentary and dramatisation narrows. Trust depends on clarity, and when clarity weakens, trust follows. But the visual techniques here are only part of the issue. A deeper concern lies in what the documentary chooses not to interrogate. This is a medically complex case, and yet the documentary gives minimal space to statistical clustering disputes or conflicts between the experts like Dr. Shu Lee and Dr. Evans. nor do they provide alternative clinical explanation or examine the risk of retrospective interpretation. In neonatal medicine, uncertainty is not unusual. In fact, it's inherent. But uncertainty is compressed here. Instead, we get music that heightens tension, arrest footage that signals resolution, narrative pacing that smooths over forensic disagreement. An investigation interrogates. This documentary narrates. It replaces evidentiary dispute with narrative cohesion, and that cohesion peaks in one moment, the arrest of Lucy Letby. Now, this appears early in the documentary, where Lucy Letby is escorted from her home and placed in a waiting police vehicle. The perpetrator walk is one of the most powerful tropes in true crime media, but it's not evidence, it's procedural theatre. Placed at the beginning, it implies inevitability. It suggests that the investigation was linear. It compresses months of debate and complexity into one dramatic image. The arrest becomes a visual confirmation, but an arrest in and of itself is not proof. It is the beginning of a legal process. And that brings us to the principle at the centre of this discussion, procedural fairness. In New Zealand, the case of the Christchurch mosque attacker, Brenton Tarrant, provides an important contrast. Tarrant has sought to withdraw his guilty pleas, arguing that the conditions of his isolation rendered him unfit at the time to plea. The Court of Appeal in New Zealand is currently examining that very claim, not because Tarrant's crimes are in dispute, but because procedural fairness must be applied universally. This is not a comparison of crimes, it's a comparison of principles. Even the most reviled defendants retain the right to legal review, and it's a pillar that protects the integrity of the justice system itself. Procedural fairness is not contingent on popularity, and if it did, it would protect no one. And those same principles apply to Lucy Letby. But how fairness is communicated, visually and editorially, also matters. So let us return to the anonymisation, the image of the two women in the documentary. I have an image here of baby Zoe's mother and Lucy Letby's best friend, both of whom have been digitally anonymised. And this next image is taken from the court coverage of Brenton Tarrant's proceedings. Usually a barrister would be shown, but in this case Brenton Tarrant's solicitor was anonymised. For context, the mosque attacks in Christchurch created a deep sense of unease in New Zealand. Brenton Tarrant's attacks generated credible threats against him, and this created a security environment in which protecting counsel was a defensive necessity. And it's in this context that the anonymisation of the defence barrister was done. It was a defensive measure to ensure their safety. The image, as you can see, is simplistic and quite rudimentary. There is nothing complicated about it. But it tells us immediately that the court decided to obscure the identity of the barrister to protect their personal safety. There was no attempt to recreate the barrister, as is done with AI. But the message remained clear, and it did not undermine the adversarial process. In comparison, the AI anonymisation of the two women is an editorial choice. They could have used other anonymisation techniques such as pixelization, but they didn't. If they had, we would have immediately known and understood that these two women did not want to be recognised in public. Further, when a court makes suppression orders, they try and explain why, so the public understands. Filmmakers who use synthetic anonymisation should likewise label the technique and explain why they're using it. If we don't explain the why behind the anonymisation, we risk steering people towards judgments they may never have made in the first place. And in contested cases like Lucy Letby's, that matters a lot, because any reduction in transparency only increases the risk of prejudice. This critique is not about defending a person, it's about defending a process. Across the Netflix documentary, we see a pattern, a thumbnail that primes the audience before presenting any evidence, music that guides emotion before analysis, arrest footage that suggests inevitability before scrutiny, AI faces that simulate humanity while altering perception. Each choice may appear small in isolation, but together they construct a narrative of certainty. And when certainty is built in this way before interrogation, it is not investigative. Legal systems are designed to move slowly, to test evidence, to tolerate uncertainty, to allow change and review. Media narratives move differently. They reward clarity, emotion, resolution. And when a documentary storyteller adopts the grammar of true crime, rather than the discipline of journalistic inquiry, it risks doing something subtle, but very powerful. It replaces disciplined doubt with emotional coherence. And justice depends on disciplined doubt when conclusions precede scrutiny, when framing outruns analysis, and when a narrative replaces interrogation. In a functioning justice system, fairness is not optional. It's the system's bedrock. And in media, especially those presenting themselves as investigative, carry responsibility in how they frame cases that remain contested. If you found this analysis useful, support the channel by liking the video and subscribing. It helps this kind of long-form evidence-based critique reach more people. And share it with anyone who's interested in how media framing shapes public perception. For now, I'll see you in the next video. Take care.